So for a couple of days now, we've been talking about how you can properly keep an eye on your blood sugar level and all you need to watch out for against diabetes. And I think for some of us who have seen how bad these things can be, we wouldn't want anyone to mess with it. I've been in practice for some years now as a clinical laboratory scientist, and I can tell you that the majority of the complications that arise from diabetes are due to some avoidable mistakes from the patients themselves. And by the way, you have to know that we're talking about diabetes mellitus, which has a lot to do with increased sugar level in your blood. We're not mentioning anything about diabetes insipidus. That's a topic we're going to treat in detail in our next video. So you should make sure that your notification button is on so that immediately we release that you'll get alerted. And if you haven't subscribed to our channel, please ensure you do that right away. Okay, now let's go ahead to what we have today. One of the biggest mistakes that people make with diabetes is waiting for symptoms to appear before they go for medical check. Okay, let's be sincere with ourselves now. When last did you walk into a clinic or medical lab to get yourself checked? And I mean, not the ones you were feeling sick or you were running stomach or running temperature, stuff like that. No, I mean, when you're feeling okay, but you just want to know what's going on. I remember telling this uncle that there's nothing as good as periodically going to check yourself, because that's the only way you keep a tab on your body and know what is happening to your organs and all that. But you know what this guy said? God forbid. Anyway, that's a good one. That's a good declaration. But as valid as that can be, it still doesn't take away the fact that conditions like diabetes can start developing and progressing into something more complicated than you ever thought. And mind you, God has been working miracles through medical science. It's just that you never realized that. And so if you never went for any medical check, how exactly do you want healthcare professionals to detect when things are going wrong or when things are progressing into something more complicated? By the way, if you missed it, we've made a video detailing all the tests you can do to keep a check on your blood sugar level. So if you didn't watch it, if you've not watched it yet, the description box contains the link. So just go there and click on it and check it out. Now, you know the funny thing, even those of them who have gone for check and discovered that something is wrong, that there's an excess sugar in their body, they wouldn't do anything because they still feel normal. You hear something like, I think my condition is not that serious because I still feel okay. And some other people will tell you, even if it's serious, nothing is going to happen to me. That's good. That's very, very good. I believe you. And you need to understand this. Nobody is saying that anything is going to happen to anybody. No, that's not what we're saying. But tell me, how exactly do you want your body to keep coping with excess sugar in your blood while you go about your activities, doing anything you like and eating anything as if nothing is at stake? Do you realize that when you allow excess sugar to accumulate in your body, that will make it easier for small blood vessels in different parts of your body to get damaged? And that's exactly the leading cause of things like diabetic retinopathy and nephropathy. That's damages to your eyes and your kidneys. And so if you don't get treatment in all these cases, it's just a matter of time before something you never bargained for just happens. And by the way, before you rush to take anything they tell you is a treatment for diabetes, you need to understand that it's not everything that works. Currently, there are a lot of things in the market. There are a lot of drinks, mixtures, herbs, and all that promise permanent cure for diabetes. And a lot of people are rushing it. I don't have a problem with that. But the one that pains me is that a lot of people go as far as abandoning the ones that their doctor prescribed just to try those ones out. And of course, you need to understand that we are not trying to discredit the potency of some alternative medicine. No, that's not what we're doing. But going ahead to take them without verifying or without confirming from your doctor the potency, the efficacy, and the safety can be dangerous. Now, let's even pretend that the safety is guaranteed. Do you know that the illusion, the belief that these things are working when they are actually not, can now give a room for excess sugar to accumulate and damage your nerve cells? Before you know it, you will start feeling numb in your fingers and your feet. And let me tell you, if you manage to sustain any injury while these things last, healing will take almost forever. Listen, I just want to remind you that we're always here to educate you on many things about your health that can help you stay healthy. And that's all we've come to do. We're not going back on that. So ensure you get in to join us by subscribing to this channel. Let me tell you a secret. Even if you are taking any medications, you shouldn't neglect things like healthy lifestyle. It's very important. Medications are very good, very perfect, especially when prescribed by a medical professional. But you need to understand that when you don't add healthy habits, when you don't maintain healthy lifestyle, everything might just end up as a waste. For instance, seeing a diabetic that goes about taking large amounts of carbohydrate, taking plenty of sugary drinks without paying any attention to things like body weight and management of stress is just a few steps away from complications like diabetic ketoacidosis. This one is even more dangerous than all we've been talking about, because as your body is struggling to get sugar to make energy, it can go as far as breaking down stored fats and then releasing some toxic substance known as ketones. In fact, in many cases, this can land you in medical emergencies. And of course, we are not saying that you should ignore all your favorite delicacies or your traditional things that you like. But then understanding the things like portion control, things like healthy combination of this food, and then adding physical activity and paying attention to stress management can do a whole lot of good for you. And of course, you shouldn't neglect guidelines from your medical professionals. And part of this guideline is periodically checking your blood pressure and your cholesterol level. You see, a lot of people think when they mention things like diabetes, it's all about high sugar level. But proper management goes beyond sugar alone. Ignoring things like periodically checking your blood pressure, cholesterol level can actually expose you to some cardiovascular issues like high blood pressure. You need to understand that mortalities that arise from diabetes are not just because your sugar is high. No, it's because of some complications like kidney damages, brain damages, heart attack, stroke, hypertension, and things like that. But then there's a good news. Many of these complications can actually be reduced. The occurrence can actually be reduced or eliminated entirely just by having the right information, having access to quality healthcare, and then maintaining healthy lifestyle. And you know the best part, even you too can help someone by sharing this message, because you never can tell who needs this message so urgently. So ensure you share this video, like, subscribe to our channel. And thank you so much for watching till this end. I hope to see you again in our next video.